How's it going, everyone? Today I want to do a video covering kind of a broad topic. So I've been thinking about this for quite some time, and sorry, I'm not in the camera. I haven't been on the camera a lot lately. I just think it's, when it comes to the bikes, you want to see the bikes. You don't want to see this ugly face, right? So you're not going to see my face today in this video, as I've been doing for a while. When I do my fishing reel reviews, I'll probably start going back to, so you see my face and the reel and everything. But when it comes to these bike videos, you don't want to see me. You want to see these gorgeous bikes. And as you can see here, I'm in my kitchen because there's too many kids out in like outside. I usually film my big bike videos in the garage. There's just too many kids making too many sounds. The kids have the day off today, and I didn't want to sound like a weirdo with my garage open because that's the best way that the light comes in. I just didn't want to sound like an idiot, and I didn't want to have the kids coming in and making a bunch of noise. So I'm doing it in my kitchen today. I'm sure my wife would be happy about this if she knew I was doing this, which she likely will once this video is posted. So what is the point of this video? Today I want to go over what bike or what you should be considering when you are thinking about buying a bike. And this is primarily for those who are getting back into it. Just to give you guys background about my biking history, right? I have always been into biking. When I was a little kid, like most kids, all I did was ride bikes, and I got into BMX in the early 2000s. They built a skate park in my neighborhood, and they had fly boxes, half pipes, quarter pipes, mini fly boxes. They had so much going on at this skate park, and I used a BMX bike for years. For about a good 6 years, I BMX. I was never anything amazing. Like, my biggest move was a no-footer X-Up. As like a 16-year-old, that was my big move, and I would do it over the pyramid. That was my big thing, right? So I really loved biking ever since I was a little kid, to include BMXing. Then I started working, and I lived about 3 miles away from my job at Meijer, which is a grocery store up in the Midwest. And I ended up buying a very cheap version of a bike kind of like this, of a road bike. And it was a GMC Denali that you could find at Dick's Sporting Goods for like $250, maybe $300 at the time. You see them all the time on Facebook Marketplace nowadays. They're a dime a dozen. It was actually a pretty good bike. I rode it for hundreds of miles, three miles a day for 5-6 days a week. For years. And then I ended up joining the Air Force, and I didn't ride a bike for years after that until I moved here to Maryland, where I'm currently stationed due to the Air Force. So actually, let me see if I can get a little bit better lighting in here. Yeah, get a little bit better lighting in here. So it wasn't until I moved here I started getting back into riding, and that's when I bought this bike right here, the Ozark Trail G1 Explorer. And just to let you guys know, I already have 2 videos on this bike. This bike is absolutely amazing. I have over 2,000 miles on this bike, and it still feels brand new. Now, I did have to adjust my brakes a little bit. I'll probably have to get new brake pads here, but this bike still feels absolutely amazing. This thing has just held up so well. Love this bike. So this bike here, I owe a lot of credit to getting me back into biking, into cycling. And I don't necessarily ride bikes far distances or anything like that. I just primarily ride these bikes around my neighborhood. I'll consider myself, which you'll hear me refer to as a weekend warrior or a neighborhood warrior. I just ride my bikes around my neighborhood with my kids and my family. That's all I do, or I ride them to work. So again, a lot of background, but what is the point of this video? The point of the video is, if you're getting back into bicycles, especially if you're like in your late 20s, early 30s, mid 30s, 40s, anything out of your youth, this video is for you, because I am going to go over what my lessons learned are. And the first point is are you, or what type of bike are you going, or do you want to buy? Do you want a cycling bike? Do you want a more commuter bike / gravel bike, touring bike? This thing's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. Or do you want a more relaxed but still relatively fast bike? Do you want a mountain bike that you can go hit the trails? You have to figure that out first. And what I'm going to tell you guys now is 9 times out of 10, you're going to want a bike either like this, or you're going to want a bike like this. Something much more upright because you're a little bit older, you're not as young as you used to be, but you need to figure that out before you start buying bikes or looking into buying bikes. You don't want to buy a bike that is not meant for what you need or what you want. If you're a neighborhood or / weekend warrior riding around with your family, you don't need to get a bike with super wide tires. These are 40 centimeter tires, or millimeter tires. Jeez, oh Pete, I can't speak. These are pretty wide. I would not really necessarily recommend this bike for a weekend warrior. This would be, tire-wise, the most I would recommend. The other thing I wouldn't recommend if you're just riding your bike on the weekends and just having fun with your family, don't get a suspension bike. Do you notice all my bikes here? No suspension, no front fork suspension, no center frame suspension or rear suspension, none of that. You do not need that. If you want a more comfortable riding bike, get an upright riding bike like this with some spring suspension seats. There's your suspension right here. That's all you need. You don't need a front fork suspension. And the reason why I am really against front fork suspensions is that it takes away the power that you are inputting when you are cranking your pedals. Every single time that you push down on your pedals, it is absorbing some of that effort, and it's going to make your old, worn out self exert more effort than what you're necessarily ready for. Maybe eventually, if you start getting really back into it and you get back into really good shape, maybe get a front suspension bike and you hit those trails. But if you're just a weekend warrior, I would recommend getting a rigid bike. Do not get any type of suspension other than maybe, like I just showed you here, a seat suspension. These little coils right there. So figure out what type of bike you're going to buy. That's one, right? If you want a mountain bike, then get a mountain bike. If you want to if you're getting back into cycling, like this bike right here, then get that. If you want more of a commuter bike, maybe get something like the G1 Explorer from Ozark Trail. Or this Panasonic Tours 10 would be a great bike for that. So you just have to make sure that you're matching the type of cycling you're wanting to do with the actual bike that you're buying. That is a huge factor, because I have seen so many people commuting to work that have the biggest, fattest tire bikes that with full suspensions that you can possibly get, and by the time they roll up into work, they are so sweaty, so worn out, because they have a 5-mile ride, but they have 40 plus millimeter tires that are just increased resistance like no other, and they have suspension robbing them of their efforts, and they just hate their life. They regret buying their bike. So just make sure the first thing you take in consideration when buying a bike is what bike meets your needs the best. Point number 2, should you buy new or should you buy used? There's pros and cons to both of these. If you buy new, like I did right here, this amazing Ozark Trail G1 Explorer, you're going to be the first owner. You're going to know everything that was ever done to this bike. Everything is going to operate, except if you buy it from Walmart, is going to operate the way that it should. By the way, this bike hardly needed anything done to it when I first bought it. I did everything. I adjusted the derailleur and things had to break in, so you had to adjust them a little bit. So you have to consider that. Or you can buy used. These two bikes I bought used. You couldn't really tell because they look at the paint. They look brand new. All the aluminum looks really good. The chrome looks really good. The paint looks really good. These chrome wheels look really good. everything looks really good on these bikes. You can see this is used because the old stickers are worn off a little bit, but overall this bike looks really good. This Trek 1220. So what's the advantage and disadvantage between new and used? New, especially if you buy it from a bike shop, unlike this bike right here, if you buy a new bike from a bike shop, it's going to work the way it's supposed to be right out of the box. Hopefully, if it's from a reputable bike shop, you won't have to worry about it. If you buy it from Walmart, it negates what I'm about to say. If you buy new, it's going to work out of the box. You won't have anything to worry about for years to come until your next tune-up, which is like a year to 2 years after you buy it, because your cables from your brakes, from your derailleurs, those are going to eventually stretch out, and you're going to have to get them adjusted unless you're a DIY or do-it-yourself guy, DIY guy. If you're one of those, don't buy new. If you're a DIY guy, do not buy new. That is the worst decision you can make, because you're going to spend $1,500 to $4,000 on a bike that you could have gotten for literally a quarter of the price, like this bike, like that bike. And all you have to do is just do everything yourself. So the advantage of buying new and from a bike store, not Walmart, not any department stores, I'm talking about from a bike shop, is that you don't have to do much. You buy it from the bike shop, you ride it out the door, everything's going to work great, minimum effort, right? But you have to spend more money. That's the con against it. If you're buying used, which is what I personally recommend if you're a DIY guy, you're going to have to put some work into it, but you're going to spend significantly less money. The amount of money that you're saving, you're going to put into elbow grease. This bike right here, I just got done fixing up, and she rides like new. I ended up having to completely overhaul these shifters, which I thought was going to be much harder than what it was. These are, as complex as they look, they actually are pretty simple. All I really had to do to get these working like brand new is get some degreaser spray like WD-40 or Finish Line. I sprayed it in there, let it soak for a while, and then just work these shifters. Ended up getting both of these working just like that. And these didn't come this shined. I wanted this bike looking as close to new as you can possibly get. Guess what I had to do? Use Mother's aluminum polish, and I took hours upon hours. Look at this. Hours upon hours polishing and going through rag after rag. Look down here. Look at that. Oh, look at that crankset. It did not look like that when I bought it. It had literally zero shine. Look at the rear derailleur. All this. I still haven't done the pedals. Those actually were, oh no, this part of the pedal I did do a little bit. But you have to put elbow grease into these bikes. You have to tune them, you have to clean them and polish them and lube them to get them working like brand new. And some bikes, or not all used bikes, are created equal. Some are in much better shape than others. These hubs here on this bike, I did not have to touch. That was one thing that I was really appreciative of this bike. They spin and they are silent and they spin forever. Same thing when it comes to the rear hub. Everything just spins with zero or virtually zero resistance, and they are silent. Other bikes you will buy brand new, or not brand new, used, will not be the case. You will have to overhaul the hubs, which requires a little bit of money because you have to buy the correct wrenches that will require you or allow you to be able to take apart the axles, get access to those hubs or bearings. You have to buy grease. You may have to buy new bearings, right? Like that costs not a lot of money. You will still save a lot of money, but you have to invest a little bit of money in the right tools and a little bit of money in grease, degreaser, cleaner, whatever it may be, bearings. You have to invest that. That's what I had to do with, nope, not this bike. This bike, actually, the front and rear hubs were just redone by the previous owner like 2 years ago. It was my Schwinn Traveler. I had to completely overhaul both the front and the rear hubs. This Panasonic came great, so I lucked out with that. So you have to put in a lot more elbow grease and hours bringing these bikes back up to almost brand new specs. Like, again, do you think this bike just came looking this good? I mean, I'm fortunate enough, you can see that there's some dents here. That's the other thing you might have to be willing to accept, is some dents and stuff. But this bike did not come to me, or I did not buy this bike looking this good. I spent hours polishing, sealing, waxing, polishing this. I mean, look how gorgeous this looks. It took a lot of hours. This right here, I'm also very fortunate that this chrome was in pretty darn good shape. So, that's factor number 2. And that's honestly, that's the last factor. I actually don't really have anything else to say. Like, you have to, I want to wrap this video up sooner than later. So you have to consider, do you want to buy, or what type of bike is going to fit your needs, and whether or not you want to buy used or new. And some of the pros and cons of buying used versus new is used bikes, they're going to be much cheaper. This bike right here, I literally got for free. If I bought this equivalent bike today, it would be a $2,000 bike. I got it for free. That's why you got to be on Facebook Marketplace. You got to be on Craigslist. That's probably, when it comes to a con to used bikes. I wouldn't say con. It's just a caveat. You have to pay attention. You have to be on Facebook Marketplace constantly looking for those great deals. This bike here ended up getting for $45. I mean, come on, $45. I cannot believe I got this bike for $45. The old, well, I won't call him old man. The man that sold me this bike was very nice. His name, I won't say his name just in case he doesn't want me to, but he was a great guy. Him and I hammed it up for like an hour as I bought this bike from him. This bike here, someone just said, I won't respond to your Facebook messages. It's out my driveway. Pick it up for free. I ran out there the next morning. Luckily, it was there. Picked it up for free. This bike, like I just said, if I would have bought it today, brand new, the brand new equivalent, this would be like a $2,000 bike. I got it for free. So you have to put more effort when it comes to buying used. You have to put more effort when it comes to finding those deals. And then you have to put more effort into it when it comes to fixing it up, cleaning it, making it look like new. There's just a lot more effort when it comes to this. There's less effort when it comes to buying shop quality used or new bikes. But you have to spend a lot more money. You will always have to spend more money buying these bikes new, but it's less hassle overall. So those are my 2 big takeaways when it comes to buying used versus new bikes. That's all I have for today. I hope this video was helpful. I'm very passionate about this. I'm going to be doing more videos on all 3 of these bikes. I'm actually going to do full reviews on all 3 of these bikes. And just to let you know, they're all going to be positive. This bike right here, the Ozark Trail G1 Explorer, is going to be a 2,000 mile review. I'm actually well over 2,000 miles at this point. I just haven't had the time to do this video yet. This will be the next video I'll do though, because I absolutely love this bike. So that's all I got for you guys today. I'll see you next time. Hope you enjoy the video.